words. That said, when I asked my brother-in-law, who just got his MBA, what I should be talking about tonight, he said, Gary, don't talk about the business. He said, instead, talk about this topic. And I said, what the hell are you talking about? And I started thinking, and I was like, you know what?
That better be erasable by then.
It's totally erasable. Totally erasable. And I thought, you know what, Benji? You're a genius. You're a genius. And so tonight, we can do the Q&A, more businessy questions later, but I want to talk about not being a dick to oneself, to one's stakeholders, and to one's dream and vision. And I think that these three things is actually what makes America Learn so successful right now, and what's allowed us to have a 25% plus growth rate in the past several years. So, not being a dick to oneself. As I'm sure the other two folks who spoke before me know, in startup mode, there is so much work, right? From data entry to fundraising, et cetera, and during my first 7 years of starting up my company, I was working like 7 days a week, and it got to the point where I actually wore out my hands. Jessica, my fiance here, she's a chiropractor, she still works on my hands. But it got to the point where I actually couldn't touch things without being in so much pain. And I didn't have carpal tunnel, I didn't have any crazy disease, I had simply worn out my hands. And I went to a mentor of mine named Peter, and Peter said, Gary, don't you know that the world wants to work for you? And I'm like, the world wants to work for me? What the hell are you talking about? And he introduced me to the site called Odesk. You guys familiar with that? Anybody heard of it?
No.
No?
What is it?
It's now called Upwork. So,
add it to your list.
this would be a great, this is going to be a very tool book focused conversation. So what Odesk is, I'll give you an example. Earlier this week, I had this massive data entry project that came into our office that I wasn't expecting. That was going to take about 10 hours to do. And I had 0 people resources in the office to actually get this done. And so I went on to Odesk, over here where it says post a job, and I said, hey world, I have this 10-hour long data entry project that involves going into our website and taking X, Y, and Z information from a spreadsheet and popping it into one of our clients' portals on our web service. And within 10 minutes, I had 20 different bids from around the world, ranging from $3 an hour to $20 an hour. And 10 hours later, that project was done. So one of the best pieces of advice that I like to give to social entrepreneurs is that you don't need to do this work on your own. There are people in Bangladesh, in the Philippines, if you don't like offshoring here in the US, that will work for you instantly for pennies.
I'm calling them tomorrow. I'm on the site.
It's
5 projects.
It's unbelievable.
To work or to
So
ask for?
you're part of the problem.
So I am part of the problem. Well, so actually, I struggle with this. I struggle with this. So I've had a number of ethical things in my head around this, right? So this company is based in Santa Monica, and they take 10% of every dollar that goes to the freelancers. And so in my head, I convinced myself, well, at least some of my dollars are going into the U.S. tax system this way, rather than sending money directly outside the country.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
yeah.
All my developers,
plus,
developers, everything came from there.
What do you say?
All my developers do all my things.
Me too. Every
when
single
it
one
was
of my
still
engineers.
Odesk, and now, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, why? I mean, there are so many people without jobs who would be grateful if someone would just, throw them a bone so they could, make some money. It's better than zero.
Yep. And so when Jessica and I started dating, actually, there's a guy who I've been working with in the Philippines for years named Randy. He's our main data entry guy. He's amazing. And I was paying him Filipino minimum wage, and Jessica was like, Gary, you have like a farm of slaves. You're a slave. I'm like, Jessica. And so, but she let me to increase their rates by another $1. So everyone's getting paid above Filipino minimum wage now. So you get to set the terms, but again, they bid. They say, hey, here's how much I'll work for you for. It's not like there's no like indenture service. So anyway, so that's number one on not being a dick, especially to oneself, is that you don't need to do the admin stuff as long as you're super, super clear on the project and you are communicative with the person you hire, which is a whole other lecture. If you want more advice, I'm happy to talk about that.
Just one question, privacy, confidentiality, quality control, how do you sort of?
So they actually have software that takes a screenshot of your freelancer's desktop every 15 seconds. So you can make sure that they're actually doing your stuff.
So wait, so you could look at exactly what they're doing?
Yeah,
And this is all through this, okay.
Yeah.
I'll be on there tomorrow too.
it's unbelievable.
Wait, so they do the work within the site?
No,
that
it's
like
that when you hire somebody, you click a box that says monitor this person or choose not to. And if you click the monitor option, the freelancer is required to download some software on their computer.
You're answering the question,
takes a
do you know
picture.
if they're doing the work and the amount of time that they're spending?
Yeah.
That's what,
Okay.
it's making sure that if he said he worked 5 hours for you, he actually worked 5 hours for you.
My question is, so I download the software and you can see everything on my screen?
If you're the freelancer,
Yeah, but is there like I clock in and I clock out?
it does that automatically.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm
That
more
makes more
concerned if I
sense.
send them a donor database with private information,
So-
I would filter out that information.
Yeah, and
1,000 emails,
Yeah.
you know, what can,
Yeah, I mean, it's a social thing. Everyone gets rated by their previous employers, and I have our folks sign NDAs in advance. You know, you take a risk though, right? Do you have resources to go to the Philippines and take somebody to court if they violate your
no.
privacy? So you really, have to ask yourself some questions before you decide to send specific work out there. All right.
They're more hungry for your $12 an hour.
Yeah, they really don't. What are they gonna do with your 1,000 members? Not much, probably.
Now, let me ask you this though, I mean, I'm sorry,
No
this
worries.
interruption, I'm
No,
really sorry.
no, I'm glad it's useful.
I'm assuming that these freelancers are screened prior to being allowed to be provided. Like obviously, I don't know a thing about, let's say, like internet building. I can't exactly say, well, I'm a freelance like internet guy, so now you can pay me, you know, X amount. So
Yeah.
are they all screened prior to being allowed to go on the
So
site?
I'll show you really quickly. So when you fill out this job request form, down at the bottom, you decide if you want someone entry level, intermediate, or expert.
Okay, that makes all the sense.
And because there are different tests that the freelancers can take on the site to get rated, and then you can actually decide here. You can add qualifications, and qualifications could be like they've had at least 100 other jobs on the site with a rating of 4.5 or more, or what have you.
That's really cool, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so again, happy to discuss more in detail if anyone wants to use this afterwards. I'll give you my card, you can email me.
Actually, you just gave them homework, but it's okay.
Well, I just.
Well, actually, these guys can do the homework for them.
No. Part of their homework is to go over these tools
And
and
I just put it
analyze
in-
them.
And I just put it in Google
No, I
Doc,
think
just
we're
pay
gonna
them
have
$5.
these guys in the Philippines do profiles.
Sure, if you wanna pay them, that's totally fine.
There you go. All right, so that's it. Now, not being a dick to one's stakeholders. So when I talk about stakeholders, I'm talking about everybody that I interact with every single day. My employees, my clients, my family. And so there's something that happens that America Learns every single morning called 5 minutes of fun. And it's part improv, part Buddhist meditation time, part team building. Basically, there's I put the team through an exercise that encourages us to be super silly or super reflective. And we did this exercise 2 weeks ago based on the following story. I'm gonna ask all of us to do it together. So I recently was listening to a story of someone who just returned from a trip to Bali. And she was talking about how she was being led through the jungle by a tour guide who she hired. And they got to this really creaky bridge. and it freaked her out. She didn't want to cross it. It looked really old. She thought the wood was gonna, disintegrate. She was gonna fall to her death in the river below, etc., etc. Eventually, she works up the bravery, and she crosses the bridge with the tour guide successfully. And the tour guide turns to her and says, "Great job crossing." And then the tour guide turns to the bridge and says, "Good bridge. Thank you." And that story really got me thinking about what I and my team need to do to be really strong bridges for each other and for our clients. And so I asked our team to do the following exercise that we're all going to do together during the next 5 minutes. Everyone has crayons in the paper, right? Okay. So what I'd like you to do is draw a representation of you as a bridge that your people feel comfortable crossing at any time. What is it about you that makes you a strong bridge for your folks? Or maybe it's a bridge that you see yourself being in the future. So if I'm not being clear, is anyone confused?
So just draw out a bridge.
Draw a bridge that represents you, that says.
Not draw a bridge.
That-
Draw your bridge.
that represents you, Evan, as someone that other people that you work with will always feel comfortable crossing. So you might put words on the bridge, you might do whatever, but go ahead and draw a representation of yourself as a bridge.
Can this be aspirational?
It can be aspirational as well.
Yeah, the artistic skills of dog non-existent.
If you want, what'd you say?
Oh, no, I said I have the wrong color crayon.
Oh, there's boxes over here. If anyone needs more colors.
Oh God, there's a.
There's a whole plethora.
Over there. So even if someone's coming to you and they're really scared, what is it that allows you right now aspirationally to be strong for them? There's no wrong answer.
You haven't seen my drawing yet. Alright, 2 more minutes. Crayons.
They're birds.
Crayons, borrows.
Celebrity
That
apprentice
sounds
theme
good.
music.
What'd you say?
And the celebrity apprentice theme music comes in.
Oh, good.
All right, so I'd like for just two people, I know we're limited on time, to share what they look like as bridges.
That's my bridge. I use a John Lennon quote. People are lonely because they build walls instead of bridges. So I took the traditional red bricks that are used to build a wall and reformatted them to make a bridge.
Awesome. That's very good. That's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm not gonna show it real quick 'cause it sucks, but there's a lot of symbolism in it because the bridge is held up by, obviously by a bunch of cables, and one goes up and one goes down. When you go up, that's the uphill battle, so like you're gonna have a lot of like negatives in your uphill battle, like you're gonna have, each word I have is one of the challenges that you're gonna go through as a team. Like you're gonna go through risk, time, you might hit failure, like you're gonna hit struggle. But then when you go downhill, when it gets easier, and it's what's so, and instead of like holding up like the bridge, it's your success, it's your impact, it's your outreach, and at the very end of the bridge, it's repeat.
So thank you for doing this. So I look at my bridge whenever I walk into my office now. It's right on my wall next to my computer, and it just is a reminder to me of how I want to be sturdy for my people, whether they're my employees or my clients, or this one over here. So. So that's so that's that, and then the last "don't be a dick" thing that I want to talk about is not being a dick to one's dream or vision. So, America Learns has been profitable since our second year, back in 2004. We got $60,000 of seed funding from Echoing Green, took on a $15,000 loan, and ever since then we've been self-sustaining. But our growth was extraordinarily incremental. It was like 5% a year, 6% a year. And a couple years ago, I attended this conference on biomimicry. Has anyone heard of biomimicry at all?
No.
So biomimicry is the study of Earth's natural systems with the purpose of saying, hey, the Earth has been around for at least 3.8 billion years and has been self-sustaining. Surely Earth knows something about growing a self-sustaining, successful venture. What can we learn from Earth's wisdom as we design smarter organizations and smarter processes? And so I went to the biomimicry conference a couple years ago and was attending a workshop, and somebody started speaking about hibernation and how nature's tendency in colder climates in wintertime to really slow down. And I was like, hey, I can't think right now when I'm running my company because we're just going. I'm gonna hibernate this year. So that was 3 years ago. 3 rounds of hibernation. And what we do to hibernate at America Learns is we've actually shortened our fiscal year from 12 months to 10 months. And we freeze our outbound sales operations every December and January. We do not look for new business. And during that time, we actually tear apart our previous 10 months worth of sales efforts, what worked, what didn't work, what changes do we need to make to our operations. We look at the organization's culture and figure out what culture changes we need to make. Because I found that I tried to make culture changes before, but we were always running. And it's really hard to make big changes when you're running. But if you intentionally slow down, we intentionally slow down, I found that shift could happen. Not only could shift happen, but our incremental growth rate of 5, 6, 7% a year shifted to 25+% a year. So we would cut our fiscal year, our sales focus down from 12 to 10 months, yet we're now growing at a faster rate because of what we're learning by not hustling for 2 months a year. Instead, we literally have study hour once a day at the office during these 2 months. And it becomes a very safe place to tear apart everything that we are with the purpose of building a stronger version of ourselves. It's been a really, really healthy process. No one on the team, except for me, still at this point is allowed to work past 5 during hibernation. This becomes a very self-care time, both for the employees and the organization. So that's been huge for us. So we've now checked off our how to not be a dick to oneself, stakeholders, our dreams. Last thing, the reason why I said this is our dreams vision also is that another really cool side effect of our hibernation practice is that we've discovered new business opportunities through it that we wouldn't have if we had just stayed nose to the ground. Here's what we need to do, here's our current business, keep growing. And by slowing down, we found other opportunities that opened themselves up with the space we gave ourselves. So that is my story for you guys.
Questions?
So how did you come up with the idea for America Learns? And I want to know more about like the businesses.
Yeah, sure. So back in the late 90s, I was an undergrad at Northwestern, and I started volunteering as an after-school reading and math tutor at a small nonprofit that provided tutoring services to kids who were struggling in school. And the nonprofit lacked the capacity to provide ongoing training or support to its volunteers. So it was like, hey, we're going to recruit a bunch of supposedly intelligent college students to come in every afternoon and help these students succeed in school. And more often than not, myself and other volunteers were completely failing these kids. They would come in with homework assignments. We didn't have the skills to help them really understand what was covered, so we'd end up doing their homework for them. We'd send them home with incomplete work. We'd spend the afternoon begging them to put down their flaming hot Cheetos and focus with us. And I started looking at other nonprofits that were using volunteers to improve the lives of kids, and saw the same pattern over and over again. Really good intentions, with very little capacity to deliver on the promises being made to kids and their families. And I got really angry and kind of got to a place where I said, okay, I can do one of two things. I could either try to start a movement to shut these good intentioned organizations down because they're making promises that they can't keep, or I could try to develop something to give these organizations the capacity to deliver on the promises they're making to their people. And so the original mission of America Learns was to ensure that every single child being served by a volunteer tutor or mentor was receiving the highest quality services possible. And then we built this web-based platform that facilitated that, and then we discovered, oh my God, we can use this platform in other sectors of the nonprofit space. And then a couple of years ago, we realized, oh my God, we can actually use this outside of the nonprofit space. So America Learns now actually has two different businesses. We have our social mission focus, where we license our stuff to food corps, small nonprofits, et cetera. And we also license our stuff to much larger, well-funded organizations. They pay market rate for our web services, and we then take our profits from those sales and help subsidize our social mission guys so that they can afford the cool stuff we do.
Are you a benefit corporation?
No, LLC. I never took the time to do the B Corp thing.
Question that I planned originally to ask all three, but if you had to do it all over again, what fundamental thing would you have changed that you look back and that might have got you sooner to where you are or to a different place?
So I mentioned earlier that I spent 7 years working 7 days a week, and which led my body to start breaking down. And I spent so much time and so much money on doctor's visits, in this procedure and that procedure. I wish I could go back to my younger self and say, slow down, take time. It's gonna be okay.
Anyone else?
So it's a product that you built?
So it's a web-based service.
Do you have a sample?
I can share with you after class. I know we're short on time.
Yeah, America Learns. You can go on there.
We don't have any samples on the website.
Yeah, you don't have any samples on the website?
No, but if you want, you can email me, and
Okay.
I can show it to you after class, or I can send you like a link to a sales demonstration or what have you.
Okay.
questions?
Link to the sales demonstration, would you stick that into Slack? If you get it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions?
I have one. So you did a program like Echoing Green, which supports social entrepreneurs, fellowship, resources, mentoring, all of that. How do you think that helps you in your journey, positively, negatively?
No negatives at all. If you guys are starting up social ventures, and I really encourage you, if you qualify, if it looks like you qualify for Echoing Green especially, apply for it. Not only do you get amazing cash, but the people in this organization will do anything to help you succeed. So it's one of those organizations, Echoing Green. They were the original organization that invested in social entrepreneurs in the US. So they seed funded Teach for America, City, or Jumpstart, all those.
Can you spell that word? It's green. I know,
Whoever
but-
finds it, share it on Slack.
Echoing.
Echoing is in.
Echoinggreen.org.
Yeah.
ECHOIN.
Just
Yeah.
share it on our Slack. We use Slack for the
Yeah.
class.
And for folks like Shira, you know, they like, you're at a stage where, you know, they would be, you're very attractive for them. You know, so.
Very good. Any questions to our three speakers? Anything? So thank you again for everything.